Morning. Hello. Happy Friday. It's March 1st. So we begin the month of March. I love YouTube. I love YouTubers. Anybody who actually watches my videos, thank you very much. Please, let me know that you're a subscriber or, let me know that I'm doing something good or bad. I'd love to hear your opinions. I do get a lot of feedback at All Poetry, but I don't get a lot of feedback here at YouTube. So if you like it or you don't like it, I would love to hear your opinion. Um, I like YouTube, and today I don't have a movie or show review. I was thinking about doing some book reviews, but I have discussed most of the books that I have read or become familiar with, so I haven't found a new book to review yet. I did see a book I wanted to purchase the other day, but I was struggling with Amazon's technology, so I'll have to look for that book elsewhere. If I do read that book, I'll review it. Anyway, for today, I wrote a poem. It's free verse. Some people don't consider free verse poetry. Damn. It has to have form and rhyme, they say. But I disagree with that. So I wrote a free verse, whatever you want to call it. And I consider it poetry. And I want to when I was in high school and we would talk about poetry, when my passion for poetry really got instilled within me, I remember teachers explaining different aspects of a poem, free verse or not, whether it had form, whether it was considered old fashioned or modern. There were certain things in a poem that were worthy of discussing, like what do you think the poet meant here? Do you think that tree was literally tree, or do you think that tree meant something else to that poet? And how it could be ambiguous, how it could be defined differently by various perspectives. Well, I'm not doing that with this. I want to go through this free verse poem that I just wrote and really, really make it personal. I mean, I really want you to know exactly what this poet meant when I wrote this poem. I don't want there to be any questions or ambiguity about this poem. I want it completely clarified. So here's the poem. And I'm not going to read the whole poem like, just you from the beginning to the end. No, I'm going to read pieces of the poem and explain line by line what every single line means to the poet. And the poem is called Jealousy's Confessions. So line by line, I'm going to break it down, every word, so that there's no misconstruing going on. There's no perspective to be had. There's no ambiguity about what this poem means. Suppose jealousy and envy are the same thing. That's line one. The reason I wrote that line is because for many years I've tried to say that jealousy and envy are two different words with two different meanings. That envy was supposed to be applied to materialistic things. I envy that person with the better car. I am jealous because my husband is cheating on me. That's what I meant by jealousy and envy. So when I wrote the first line, I was saying, forget it. It's the same feeling. Let's just take away the specifics about the differences between jealousy and envy. Suppose jealousy and envy are the same thing, meaning they both make you feel horrible. Line 2. If so, I will tell you all the times I denied jealousy in my life. That means that when I felt it, I was such a good fucking actress that I didn't act like it. Line 3. I was jealous that you spent more time with cigarettes and work and men. That line is directed to the mother who raised me, who was an incredible mother, who made me feel just about every emotion that a human could feel, from totally abused and neglected to absolute love and loyalty. But yes, I was jealous because I did not smoke when I was a child. And I did not like her smoking because whenever she wasn't with me, she was working or partying or traveling with the men who supported her career. And when she was home, I had to share her with the cigarettes. And it always seemed like a wall between us. I couldn't smoke. Oh no, children aren't supposed to smoke. Line 4. I was jealous that the other kids had better toys than me. No, this is not directed to my mother. This is directed toward the universe. You see, my mother did the best she could to get me the best in clothes and toys. She worked and she definitely was a great provider. But when I say I was jealous that the other kids had better toys than me, this is talking about 52 years of my existence. I always had, you know, the Walmart store sneakers or the instead of Keds, I had the cheap generic dime store sneakers that people would like teenagers would make fun of me for not having Keds or the secondhand clothes, even though I had no siblings that were, bringing them down to me. I was still alone, whether I was being spoiled by my mother and she tried to give me the best, or whether I was an adult and I was independent and buying my own things. I was frugal, but why was I frugal? Oh, that's right. So you could make fun of me. Line 5. I was jealous that the blonde girls always got the boys' attention. I was no different than any other kid in school, except that I was one of the white girls with brown hair and brown eyes. A poor white girl with brown hair and brown eyes versus all the cute little blondes with perfect blonde hair and blue eyes that always got the boys' attention. I was jealous that some girls knew how to play sports and I didn't. That's a reference to my mother having a hissy fit because I asked her for a basketball. I was jealous that the girls who wanted to beat me up were bigger and stronger and had more friends. The first time I knew that the world wasn't safe, I was in second grade. I was followed by two girls who wanted to beat me up. Although I didn't know them, I had done nothing to them. There was 2 against 1, and I was lucky I made it home without getting beat up. I was jealous that I was more obedient, yet got more abused. My neighbor used to tell her mother, "Fuck you," and her mother didn't do a damn thing about it. I used to kiss my mother's ass, and I still got abused. I was jealous that I was more faithful, yet got less attention. This is directly to God. This line is specifically my anger at God. I was jealous that I was more faithful, yet got less attention. You see, you don't really know why God is so weird unless you've stood in front of a classroom of 20 or 25 students. Then you start to understand what it's like to be God, because there are so many good students in that classroom that won't get noticed. Not because they're not an A student and because they're not an asshole. It's the A students and the assholes who get all the attention. But if you're good anywhere in between, the teacher won't even remember your name. And that's how God is. I was jealous that when I got kicked out of the door, no other door seemed open. Yeah, it was one of those promises that the Bible gives you. Well, it was something like that. Don't quote me on this because I'm not a Bible expert, but it was something about when one door closes, another one opens. Yeah, another one opens, all right. It doesn't mean that it's better. Yeah, one door closed. You got kicked out? Well, the door that opened was the sidewalk. How was that door? I was jealous that you got a scholarship for college. When I sat there in the financial aid office and asked the financial aid counselor for assistance with the paperwork for the FAFSA, and she wanted to basically be lazy, even though she was driving a really nice car, probably lived in a really nice home, and she didn't want to really help a student who was trying to get financial aid. And then I said, "Hey, who do I have to blow?" And she said, "Get out of my office." Well, that's why I was jealous that you got a scholarship for college. I was jealous that you got to live in the brand new projects. Yeah, I had seen ghettos. I had seen ghettos in New Jersey and Florida. And I had seen brand new projects go up. And I was like, I'm paying how much for rent? And I get threatened with an eviction notice or my electric going off almost every month. But, oh, I see. Because you're what? You get a free apartment? Because you're what? I was jealous that you got to use the EBT card to eat steak and lobster. Well, I solved that one. I actually did have an EBT card, and I did eat steak and lobster with that EBT card. I did solve that one. I was jealous that you got my favorite bread. This is more recent. Mm. All the health plans, all the free food. Yeah, you ever go to the church for free food and they have a box of cereal that you like, but they give you a box of cereal that you don't like? That's hey, beggars can't be choosers. And beggars can't be choosers. That's what that means there. I was jealous that you got my favorite bread. That's basically my snide reply to beggars can't be choosers. I was jealous that I sold you good cars for fair prices and you sold me lemons that the assholes wanted to fuck up anyway. I had to hear it for a long time in my life about, well, how many cars did you have? You're never going to get another car. Yeah? How many new cars did you have? How many cars did you actually work for? How many cars did you actually buy? How many cars did you sell at a fair price? I was jealous that you fucked the whole city and still got married and treated like a queen. That's to one of my cousins. No, I'm not saying that, she was always happy. She was an alcoholic, but she used to be a real slut, a real hoe. But she married well. She married somebody, with money. And even though he was kind of an asshole too, because, everybody's an asshole, he treated her like a queen. She had the fancy car, the fancy house, and when he croaked, she got it all. So even though she was the hoe of the city, she got it all. I was jealous that you did more drugs than me, yet I was called the drug addict. Okay. I'm just going to leave that line alone because I don't even know how to explain that line. I was jealous that you got drunk every night and I was banned for smoking. And this has to do with me going to different bars. See, in New Jersey, when I was in New Jersey, there weren't that many bars left. They got rid of all the titty bars, and there were very few bars left in New Jersey. But in Florida, there's still a lot of titty bars and a lot of bars. I went when I had wheels. I went gallivanting and looking at the bars, and in most of them, there was only maybe one or a very few places where smokers could actually smoke. The smoking places that don't have alcohol, and very rare does a drinking establishment allow smokers. So I mean, as I'm sitting there being disrespected left and right by the bartenders, by the crowds, you have to go outside and have a cigarette just to deal with that. And then you're like, you're amazed at the hypocrisy. It's amazing, the hypocrisy. I was jealous that I taught you everything I had learned on my own and you got all the credit for my intelligence. That has to do with deep, deep interrogations from the justice system to talking to God. I was jealous that you could steal my stuff and get away with it, but when I tried to be bad, I was punished. Yeah. Every single time, people are like, "Oh, why? You regret the things that you don't do." I think that's hilarious. You regret the things that you don't do. If you were me, believe me, that line would be hilarious to you because as I've watched people act like the most barbaric, insane, ridiculous criminals and get away with it and laugh and do it even more and say to other people, "Well, you're going to regret the stuff you didn't do." I can't help but find that hilarious, considering that every time I did that much wrong, I was punished just as severely as the other assholes who did 10 times worse. I was jealous that every time I said I like someone, you got them before me. Now, it doesn't matter if I have tits, nice hair, or a cute smile. For some reason, there's some other bitch who's going to get you first. I was jealous that every good idea I had, you ran with it or destroyed it. That's a matter of talent. I suppose I just wasn't talented enough to bring my ideas to fruition, but I was still asked for ideas many times. Okay, and that's it. And the bottom line, yes, you made me very, very jealous. So, I don't have an Oscar award on my shelf. I don't have property all across the country. I don't have $1 million to save your life with. And I do have a big chip on my shoulder, and it's called Jealousy's Confessions.